Good morning out there, traders. It is March 4th, 2024, and welcome to the Apteros Daily Market Insight. Let's take a look at our recap from Friday. Generally, on Friday, we were mentioning a couple of clear factors. We were saying that we definitely had bullish bias. That was our overall look at things, but we didn't have really quality lines in the sand slash edges where we were sitting at price early in the session. So, in other words, like out in this section here, we weren't at a spot where the market had given us a really great clear line in the sand type of situation. The one thing that was definitely well defined for us was this neutral area. And as long as we held above that, the bullishness stayed intact up into our neutral references were the overall destinations. And that was essentially what we ended up seeing playing out. We didn't get any deeper pullbacks into our bullish line in the sand where things made a little bit more sense for the bulls to get on board with better pricing. Looks like the bulls just wanted to hurry up and chase this one all the way up on Friday. So that is essentially what ended up playing out for us. So looking at that picture, once we kind of got over this neutral reference here, there was just opportunities to buy little shallow pullbacks into the first target, and then from there really weren't any pullbacks to buy heading up into the overall destination. So it was a lot more of a bullish, like kind of scalpy type environment in terms of like where the market was heading, especially from the upper two target areas, and that's kind of how I played it as well. And it's one of those situations where the market clearly working in one direction on a bias, but we just didn't have really quality spots or locations to get on board with the risk reward landscape. So, we nailed our bias. We had the right idea with the DMI. We had the clear picture as to where things were, more healthy to the upside. It was just a matter of, seeing the bias playing out, and how it plays out is always random. We don't have that crystal ball that tells us what's going to happen ahead of time. So if we did, that'd be great, but we don't have that. So it was more about just sticking with what we knew from our context and our narrative, and understanding that we were looking to the upside, but we weren't at any great locations to do so. So now taking a look at today, um, in a similar situation as we were on Friday. The difference is that we, with that Friday move, we actually did get to some edges on our higher time frame. So we're now in a spot where we can actually look for further continuation to the upside, which would be up into this neutral area here, or the downside pullback into a meaningful line in the sand for us. So today, a little bit more clarity as to the up and down side of things here. In terms of likely destinations and expectations around the market. So, starting with our neutral reference out here, this is kind of the early morning hinge for the scenarios today. Our main scenario and our main line in the sand is down here, with scenario 1 being bullish up above that, scenario 2 being a breakdown of that line in the sand. That's really our scenarios and game plan around today. But this neutral reference is going to be important for us in the early morning price action in session. If we hold below it, looking for that pullback into that line in the sand. So possible scalps to the short side there, heading back into this bullish line in the sand area. If we actually break out above it, then it's more to the upside, heading into a destination area here. And then there's really nothing up above this area for us to use as a reference for targeting. So it'll be trend following if we do get up above this neutral area up here. So that's our early morning kind of plan around this neutral zone. If we do end up seeing that pullback into the line in the sand, that's where we monitor for the inflection coming out with scenario 1, heading into this neutral area, and then heading into this neutral area. If it fails, then we're looking back into some value that we had, previously. So we'll be looking, this first reference here kind of is in the same vicinity as our line in the sand. So we won't probably get a clear, let's just say, acceptance picture around that area. But once we break down through there, then we're looking for that scenario 2 possible traversal into this reference here, which this one is a little bit more meaningful for us from a structural perspective, and then a continuation of the downside here, and then our final destination would be down into here for the downside based on this bullish line in the sand failing. So that is the overall landscape and picture for what we're looking at today. Hopefully, this was clear enough you could follow along with our plan and trade well out there, mind your risk, and follow your process.